Forgive me. It's very good to be here to share one of DECOM's most important days, the launch of the yearbook. And I bring you greetings from the Global Alliance, and we're very excited about coming here to Madrid in September and looking forward to it. Greetings also from the United Kingdom. I have a special message for you. So if England doesn't win the World Cup, we hope that Spain does. Okay. I've been asked to share my thoughts on global trends in corporate communications. And it's been my privilege over the last 2 years to visit about 18 countries all over the world, from Australasia to South America to Scandinavia, Africa, Europe. And the trends I'm going to talk about I see all over the world. And I'm not going to go into much detail. My colleagues have already done that for you. But I want to give you a sort of broad perspective of what's going on in corporate communications. And my observation is that these trends are actually operating at two levels. We have some big trends which set the backcloth for our work in corporate communications, and then there are some trends which affect our everyday workers, corporate communications professionals. So I'm going to talk about 4 big trends, and then I'm going to talk about some of the smaller trends. I'm not going to talk about all the trends, otherwise we'd be here until 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I know that I'm standing between you and cocktails, so I need to be quick. Okay, so let's have a look at the 4 big trends first. We live in a world where communications is central. There is no large organisation or public sector organisation or not-for-profit organisation now that hasn't professionalised its communications. And increasingly small organisations are having to do that as well. And it seems to me that this is great news for us, because the global figure for growth in our industry is about 12% a year. And if we think that we're living in a time of recession, that's a fantastic achievement. I can't think of any other profession that is growing as quickly as corporate communications. And if we think that there are 1 million practitioners in China alone, that gives us an indication of where some of the areas of growth are. And my colleagues again have told you a lot about where the new emerging areas of growth are, particularly in South America, in Asia, and also in Africa. And if I tell you that 2 organizations, 2 countries have approached us in the last year in the Global Alliance, one of which is a communist country and still very closed, who are wanting to set up a professional association, and another country in Asia who have said that they want to set up a professional association. It shows that even in communities, and I'm not going to name them because it's inappropriate to do that just at the moment, but even in countries where communication is very closed and where maybe the political environment is very tight, there are movements to professionalise in our profession, which is great news for us. So the next big trend, I would say, is that, again, in several countries now, we are seeing the corporate communications department taking on a much more strategic role. There are more public relations and corporate communications practitioners operating at board level than ever more before. And that's driven by 2 main things. First of all, organisations know that they have to be more accountable and open, not only to their stakeholders, but to society at large. So that is driving chief executives to seek communications advice at the highest level of professionalism. And the second thing, more positively, is that organisations and CEOs are seeing a great opportunity to actually build collaborative relationships with stakeholders and with society. And these are productive relationships where they understand that increasingly their organisation is part of a network that can offer resources to them and credibility to them and help build their reputation. And therefore, again, communications is regarded as more and more important. So we see that this new way of operating for organisations is opening up opportunities for us. And the question for us is, not where are the opportunities, but do we have the capability, the skills and the knowledge within our professional community to be able to capitalise on those opportunities? And that's a challenge to us. The third big trend that I would note is that the world of communication is becoming much more complex. The world has always been complicated, but that's different from being complex. When things are complicated, you can take them step by step by step. When things are complicated, everything happens together. It's intertwined. And the World Economic Forum has identified over 80 issues which are facing the world at the moment, which impact on us and our organisations, and they're all intertwined. So if you think about an issue like water shortage in the world today, that is driving mass migration of communities. It is driving global conflict. And as people look for new certainties in the world, they are turning to fundamentalism, activism, nationalism, which again is creating great issues for us. So in this globalized world, these intertwined issues and the complexities form the backcloth to our work as communicators, because whatever is going on in the world is always reflected in our professional work. The second thing that I would note about complexity is interconnection, and by that I mean that life used to be relatively siloed. So our social life was different from our political life, was different from economic life. Now those things are merging together, and you know as well as I do that the age when you can separate out those areas is long gone. So what's happening in social media is impacting on economic development and on political developments, as well as people's social lives. The world is increasingly interdependent, and I need say no more than financial crisis. We know that a crisis in America has triggered a global recession. Well, actually that's not true. It's a European and Western recession. In other parts of the world there hasn't been a recession, but it is changing our world. And the fourth element here is that our work is increasingly global, and something that we are beginning to detect, and the presentations that we've just heard reinforce this, is that power is shifting from the west to the east and from the north to the south. And that's a new reality which we in Western Europe are going to have to get used to. That new players are coming onto the globe which are making our lives very complicated, because we in the West are not driving the agenda as we used to do in the past. And that's a crucial difference for us that we're going to have to get used to. We will become the second-class citizens, and that's new for us.